On this episode, as we dive fin too deep, myself and Neal Driscoll, well, we got a few things to discuss coming out of the Combine. Did the NFL Combine reveal the Dolphins' top priority in the 2026 draft? Is Caleb Downs, with rumors swirling around his health, about to fall into the Miami Dolphins' lap at number 11? And with the first domino at quarterback falling across the NFL, as Kyler Murray has been informed he will be released, when can we expect Tua Tagovailoa to get that same news from the Miami Dolphins? We got a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. So let's get into it.
You're listening to Fin Too Deep.
Tua back to throw. Blitz coming. They get to him. No, he takes off running. And he's in. Touchdown, Miami.
With the sixth pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Waddle.
Giving you unfiltered, informed, and controversial takes on the Miami Dolphins and the NFL Draft. Here's Reason and Neal.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Appreciate everyone coming through right now. Shout out to Ricky Dash for becoming a member of the channel. I appreciate you, sir. Neal, the Combine is over. And also shout out to Penn for gifting 5 Finside the NFL memberships and growing the Finside fam. Appreciate you, Penn. Neal, the Combine is over, man. And wow, what a showing. Brennan Thompson, to no one's surprise, runs the fastest 40. To everyone's surprise, Lorenzo Styles misses by 0.01 of a second from tying that. And we're wondering what's in the Styles family tree right now. Holy sick God, that thing's been juiced. Man, it was a wild weekend. The quarterbacks, Taylen Green showed out. Nussmeier and Aller, I thought, were the best throwers of the football in the throwing session. The arms looked really live for both of those guys. What were your takeaways from the Combine, dude?
Well, fastest draft ever, or fastest Combine ever, right? So, obviously there's going to be a lot of speed. And I think last week I said the two players I thought would cement their status most were Sonny Styles and Kenyon Sadiq. And I think they probably did just that. And I'd throw Monroe Freeling as the guy maybe in third that really helped his draft stocks. And, one of those things that you go out there, you measure arms, and, you see Will Campbell was a 4th overall pick for the New England Patriots, and you saw his late struggles with that arm length. And, some players like Spencer Fano, who I still think could be a very, very good offensive lineman at the next level, but maybe he's better suited inside,
OGQ,
than outside.
Baby. OGQ now. Vega Yone 1, he's at 2.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would have it. But I think, that leaves opportunity for a guy like Monroe Freeland, who really, he looked great out there. And, with
my guy right
Cardinals, Browns, a lot of teams are going to need offensive linemen. I think he's going to find a way to sneak his way into the top 10.
Well, listen, he might actually go before Mauigoa because he's just, I know Freeling's played both tackles, but his most recent tape is at left tackle, and left tackles are much more coveted than right tackles.
Well, and look, this is a weird draft. Like, there's players like you see Mel Kiper, and people are like, "Oh, Mel's the most accurate mock drafter over a 20-year period of time of anyone who does mock draft." So, give him that credit. And he has Mauigoa falling to 11, and I've seen people think that's crazy, but we're going to talk about later, Caleb Downs. There's people that have these players all over the board, right?
Yeah.
You could see Mauigoa going 3 to the Cardinals, but you could see him going 11 to the Dolphins. And, as much as I can fall in love with the defensive players like a Sonny Styles or the corners, Delane and Jermon McCoy, I really think the best case scenario for the Miami Dolphins is if Mauigoa did fall to them at 11.
Oh, that's the dream, baby. That's been the dream on this channel all season is Mauigoa, bro. So I can get Austin Jackson the bumbaclot out of town, bro.
And I do it ASAP. I mean, the cap savings is only $2 million if you move on from him now, and it is what it is. But if you didn't want to do that, you could have Mauigoa play at left guard for 1 year, right, and let him kind of do what Laramie Tunsil did. If you really want to keep Austin, but I'd move on.
Yeah,
from
but they
Austin
kept
Jackson
Laramie
to-
at the same side he was natural with, right? Like, I think
Yeah.
if you're going to move him at guard, you got to put him at right guard.
and let Jonah stay at left. I mean, like, but if that's a 1 year,
Which I don't want to do.
I don't either. I think you play him at the right tackle and you say, sayonara, Austin Jackson. We haven't been able to count on you since you've been here. But
Neal, tell this clown that I just posted who has been my number one target for the Dolphins to draft all year. Who have I said is the dream pick all year, all season for the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, you were on the Mauigoa train for a while, for sure.
Oh, that's been my guy all year, and it's not even about the train. What have I been saying? I want Austin Jackson the hell out of here. Have I not?
Oh, hell yeah.
That's been my whole driving force. I wanted Membo last year, remember, for the same damn reason.
Yeah, and I would say this. I actually think Mauigoa is a little bit better of a player than Membu, and I like Membu a lot. I think Mauigoa is a little bit better of a player than him. So I think if he gets there at 11, I think it's a number that Jordan Reed's mock draft today that have Mauigoa at this 11 and then Chris Johnson in round 2. I mean, if Chris Johnson's there, that's a home run type of pick. That was like one of my favorite mocks. But yeah, you've been on that Mauigoa train early, man. So I don't know. You're going to have people jump in and trolls jump in and try to discredit. But no, I think that's a great scenario. But I liked his answer at the thing. There's 5 positions on the offensive line. It was very well done and like a pro's pro. And, here's the thing. Only 10 players can go before the Dolphins pick, right? And we know one of them is going to be Fernando Mendoza. And there's a lot of smoke coming out of this combine. Like, there's a chance Jeremiah Love's going to go in the top 5 of this draft. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's the pick for like the Tennessee Titans. Like, somebody is going to fall that has no business falling. So if it's Mauigoa, if it's Reuben Bain, if it's Caleb Downs, for me, I include both of the corners, Jermod McCoy and Mansour Delaney, in that list. I think it was Lance Zierlein did a mock where he had both of them going in the top 5, right? So it's like it's kind of all over the place. And in a draft like that, the Dolphins can find themselves in a position at 11, getting the guy that typically they probably have no business getting, but I'm all about solidifying the trenches.
You see the measurables on Mauigoa, like they're the same exact as Penei Sewell, right?
Yeah, and
he's not the generational tackle. I don't think he's the generational tackle Sewell is, but I think Mauigoa is going to be a top 5 right tackle in the league.
Yeah, look, I think he's a notch below Sewell, but I mean that with all due respect, because I think
he's right under Wirfs and Sewell.
Yeah, in the last 10 years since, or whenever Tunsil was. What draft was that?
2018.
18, right?
Yeah.
So since Sewell and Laramie Tunsil are my 2 highest rated tackles during that time period, I think Mauigoa is way better than, I like him better than Membu. I like Membu. I think he's way better than like Fashanu was. You get him and you have him and Patrick Paul as your bookends, and you're really doing well for the next 10 years. And the way I really like it is,
he was 2016, by the way. We were off by 2 years.
Okay, 2016. Yeah, that's what Xavier.
I was going to
Xavier Howard.
2017. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember actually watching that draft with my newborn baby in my hand. That's crazy. Okay, so that's 10 years ago, right? So, right, but man, I think you get a Mauigoa. Just think about this. Then you have Brewer, Mauigoa, and Patrick Paul, and then you got Jonah 7A, who's your young project, but you really have probably at least 3.5 fifths of your offensive line solved out. But when you have it solved, I think Patrick Paul's an ascending. You could argue that the numbers say this, so he's been a better football player than Olu Fashanu since he got drafted. A whole round later, Fashanu was the 4th pick. You could argue that Aaron Brewer is at worst a top 5 center in football, right?
Yep.
At worst, he's a top 5 center in football. You get a guy like Mauigoa who's going to be top 5 of his position.
Yeah.
I doubled down and get a guy like Keelan Rutledge in round 3.
Neal, I was just going to say, you got 3 third-round picks, you got a pretty deep guard class. I would do the same thing. I would circle right back around and I would take another guard, 100%. I'm right there with you. You named Keelan Rutledge. I like that. Bo Stevens. I think Jalen Farmer he tested really well.
Really well.
You know, he tested pretty well. You know, and then you got guys like, all right, well, he'll be gone, but you know, Chase Besantis will be gone. He tested really well too. But you know, you got guys where do you think you could convert someone like Connor Lew if he slides to the third?
Dude, Connor Lew is a stud. He's my center one, but yeah, I mean, why not? And think about what you're doing, right? Like, you're getting an offensive line in place with Waddle and Achane, so that when Arch Mannon's taking those snaps, he's already in a better position than Tua was. And I mean this in a half-joking way with Arch Mannon thing, but what did we struggle with when Tua first got here, right? We didn't have any real weapons. We got Waddle finally, but you remember the first year was horrible at the receiver position. And then I feel like it was always kind of a mockery of an offensive line, right? So if our picks are very focused on building from the inside out, man, like that.
Well, you could also Neal. I mean, I don't know how high you see him going there. He probably will be gone, but I think there's a couple tackles to kick in too. Like, I don't think Dunker's a tackle, bro. I think he's probably going to be a guard. Best.
I have him as a guard, and then another guy that I think is in that tweener stage is Boise State's Cage Casey. I think he
I agree with that. I have him as a guard. I'm a guard. And Trey Zune from Texas A&M. What is he? I think they had him taking snaps at center. I don't know if you saw that at the combine. Him and Fano were taking snaps at center, and Trey Zune has played. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's played all five at Texas A&M, right?
Yep, all five. Yeah, I mean, and there's some good depth in that offensive line in the middle, and like they got to get to a point where they're building this offensive line now, but then in the future they got to keep getting those interior guys in the middle rounds that they can develop, kind of like the Packers did, right? Like, they've always had an abundance of talent on the offensive line in Green Bay. Like, I love that. Like, I want to see them do that here in Miami, where we kind of always put offensive line last. It'd be nice to see an organization that put it first and build everything, you know, from the inside out. You know, I'm really intrigued to see how the draft board. I think this is going to be the most variations of mock drafts you see between It's really hard to project because the number one player in this draft class isn't much different than the number 12. And when you have a draft like that, man, like one pick that, like, if Jeremiah Love goes number 4 to the Titans, and 4.36 after the tape that he put up, I mean, you could argue that's a reach, but you could also argue that's a Bijan Robinson type of player.
Well, I told you, right? I've taken heat on all year when I've said this. I've said it on social media. I've said it up here. I have Jeremiah Love rated as a higher prospect than Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I do.
I've said it all year. But the people that push back on that is like ridiculous. Like, have y'all not watched Jeremiah Love, dude? Like, this is like Saquon level here. Like, I was saying Saquon level before he even hit the combine, and then he ran what he ran at the combine, and that just verified it. Like, I don't even think he makes it to the Saints or the Chiefs.
He's got a gear that Jeanty just never had.
Like, exactly.
He has a burst and a transition speed that, like, Jeanty just doesn't have. And he's fluid. I mean, look, in 3 years, Jeremiah Love's going to be a top 5 running back in football. I think he's that.
As long
player.
as health permitting, right?
Right, health permitting. Yeah. So, like, you know, he's my player too, and you know, I could honestly probably interchange him with Downs, who's my number 1 player. To be like, it's very, very neck and neck. But combine was great, man.
What'd you think about? Listen, I have him as my running back too. I posted it before they tested and everything like that. Dude, I did not expect Mike Washington to post that 40, dog.
Oh, he looked awesome.
I almost fell out of my chair. Yeah, that's great, but he doesn't show that speed on film, dog. Like, I don't look at him and go like, holy, like mid 4.3 on film. I was expecting like 4.4. This guy out here just freaking ripping it up. Listen, for Mike Washington's size and how mean he runs and how nasty he is bouncing off guys using that stiff arm, showcasing that speed, man, Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love are my top 3 backs, and they might all be legitimate franchise-altering running back ones.
Yeah, and you know what? The depth of that group is awful, right? Like, I also like Jonah Coleman out of Washington. And then
Emmett Johnson too.
Yeah, and I like Nick Singleton at Penn State, but he's coming off of a bad injury, so you got to see he's going to definitely fall a little bit. But like you get to like running back 6, 7 on most lists, and like you're almost getting to like round 7 at best type of prospect. So it's like I think the running backs could
so top
go,
heavy.
and then obviously the Texans make a trade. They go out and get a David Montgomery. I don't think that prevents them from drafting a running back, but it might prevent them from drafting a running back in day 2 because they traded a lot for him, to be honest.
You know what like, let's talk about this trade. I got a take on this. That Texans trade, that showed me, because I don't know if you saw, but there were rumblings before that trade happened that they were scouring the trade market, and one of their top targets was Achane.
Oh, I believe it.
That trade tells me the asking price for Achane is probably around what I've been projecting, that it's like a day 1 pick, a day 2 pick, and then a roster player, or a day 3 pick, or multiple day 3 picks. I'm telling you, that's what that trade showed me. What they paid for David Montgomery, I can only imagine what we are asking for Achane.
I love David Montgomery. I really do. I always thought he was a great high-level complimentary back that's still probably a top 20 type of running back in the league. He's been good
since he was in Chicago, bro.
But I will tell you, like the Texans with the running back position are a team to me that, they make the trade for Joe, or the free agent acquisition of Joe Mixon. He's got this weird injury. No one knows his status.
Yeah, have you heard about that? The thing I heard about, so what I heard was, dude, he effed it up while on vacation.
Yeah, I heard the same.
And he didn't want to tell the team, and the team ended up finding out. And basically the team was like, all right, like it allows him to void out of the contract. And apparently there's rumblings that Mixon might, like, his career might be like, he might never be the same. That's how bad the injury is.
Yeah, I've heard that, like, don't count on Joe Mixon playing football again. So I'm with you. I like David Montgomery. I don't know if he can be a Batman at 29 years old. Like, he might not have the wear and tear because he's, always been like in a role where he's kind of shared carries. But like a 29-year running back, you traded a 4 or a 7 and a serviceable interior offensive lineman and Drew Struggs. Like I thought they gave up a lot for him, and and it makes me think that they were desperate to at least get a proven commodity on the roster. Mm-hmm. Now with D'Amico Ryans and a team that plays good defense, having a good physical downhill runner is a strength. They do have 2 2s. Like, do they try to go after a guy with that second 2, like Jadarian Price, to bring kind of, their own little version of Thunder and Lightning? That'd be interesting to see. But the Texans are one of those weird teams to me that are like, that defense is really good. Like, if they could figure a way to make CJ Stroud's life easier, they could be a better team. But I
ain't doing a good job of it with what they're doing to their offensive line right now. They traded Titus Howard. Like,
I literally was just going to say, it's like a puzzling that a team to me that needs offensive line help is just getting rid of offensive line talent.
Can I ask you something? Let me ask you something. I'm just throwing it out there. Are they putting Stroud in a position not to be successful, so they think they could do a quick 1-year reset and get a guy?
I mean, look, I don't know if they're doing that, but I think they have to have questions about CJ Stroud. Like, and after what we saw his rookie season, the
offensive line stuff makes no sense, Neal. Did they trade? Who else did they trade yesterday? They traded away another offensive lineman, didn't they?
Juice Scruggs, yeah.
Scruggs,
yeah. So they got rid of him and Titus Howard. And honestly, I would have taken Titus Howard probably for that deal. But like, it's one of those things, man. Like, I don't know. Like, they made that blockbuster trade with us to go get Larry Tunsil, right? So they showed a value to the offensive line like we've never seen before in terms of compensation. And now it seems like they're just like sticking their nose up at it, right? Like, I don't know. But that's definitely one of the things that's holding them back. And, then they've also been hit with some injuries to like Tank Dell, and then Nico Collins was battling it last year. Yeah. But like at the end of the day, man, they're in their window. They've got big investments on that defense, and they're a team that just like that quarterback, for whatever reason, has really, really taken a step back, and they got to figure that out. I actually think there's times where Davis Mills looked better than him last year.
28 grams to a pack. What a great name. Michael Trigg available in the second, brother.
Of course.
Trigg's falling, dude. You might be able to get him in
4
the
or 5.
third. Yeah, you might be able to get.
Yeah.
I was gonna say third or fourth right now. I think he might fall. He's gonna fall somewhere between 90 to 110. I think is his range right now. Him not testing, I don't know why he didn't. But I mean, hey, do what you got to do. But yeah, I think you can get him outside of the second for sure now. And then Kick It at 62 says, Reason and Neal, this is a great question. Who is a better quarterback draft prospect, Taylen Green or Colin Kaepernick? Let's have this conversation. I think Taylen Green actually is, and I'm going to tell you why. Taylen Green played for 4 years at Arkansas in the SEC. Colin Kaepernick played 4 years where, Neal?
Nevada.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. Taylen Green, 2 years in the SEC at Arkansas, 3 years at Boise State, but he only played 2 of those years at Boise State because he was a redshirt the first year. So I apologize. My correction. 2 years at SEC in the SEC at Arkansas with Taylen Green. And like you said, Neal, where did he play?
Nevada.
Colin Kaepernick? And
Nevada.
And Nevada's in what?
I don't even know.
Not in the SEC, right? It ain't in the SEC, right? We know that. It ain't in the SEC. All right. And what happened? Colin Kaepernick, with the Nevada Wolfpack, didn't even have a 60% completion percentage. Didn't even have that. At least Taylen Green broke 60% for his career, and he threw for over, what he threw, 62%, I think is this year. Let me check. I think he threw for 62% completion percentage. No, 60.7. And last year he was 60.4. So it got better each year, right? Now he only had 326 attempts this year. But okay, Taylen Green, I don't think you're going to, let me put it this way. This is why I'm saying this. You're not going to write home about either of their accuracy as prospects, but Taylen Green has flashed touch, placement, and accuracy on tape like Kaepernick did at Nevada. Taylen Green is just a slightly more accurate guy, but at least he did it in the SEC. You know what I mean? Like, you got to give him credit for that, right? So I think he's obviously, I think we can both agree, Taylen Green is the far more alien athlete.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not even close. So if you're looking at who's the better quarterback prospect, I am going to go with Taylen Green. One guy performed in the SEC the last 2 years. The other guy performed in the Mountain West Conference. I believe that's where Nevada was when he was there, right?
Right. Yeah.
And on top of this, for me, with Taylen Green, if you're going to bet on guys with question marks, with processing, reading defenses, and accuracy, and they're kind of somewhat similar. Yeah, one's slightly better, but if the slightly better guy is a freaking alien compared to the other guy, you go with the alien, because here's what I keep trying to tell people. You have to look at Taylen Green as multiple kicks at the can. Taylen Green is a guy where, okay, let's give you 3 years to work out at quarterback. All right. If you do not work out, if we know by year 1 or year 2, you're not going to make it as a quarterback, you can now be a gadget player. Look at how Taysom Hill was successfully used by the Saints. Taylen Green is much more dynamic than Taysom Hill ever was. It's not even close. So Taylen Green is the type of player and the type of athlete you could actually dedicate a small portion of your offensive playbook to, because he's that deadly, and you continue to develop him as a passer. Now, with people who are scared of where he's at as a passer, I say to you this, then why are you salivating over Malik Willis? Malik Willis has taken how long to turn into something that's at least intriguing? He's not even a finished project. Right now, Malik Willis is intriguing. He's got ceiling left, and people want to pay him $20+ million because of 6 games. Okay, how long did it take to get there with him? And Taylen Green is someone that guys from that franchise who got Malik to that level, they'll get him much earlier than they got their hands on Malik in terms of where they were in their professional career. Taylen will be a rookie. Malik was a couple years in, and they needed to undo a lot of bad habits and a lot of bad coaching that was already done in Tennessee. And because we've already seen it happen with Will Levis, right? I'm starting to believe, Neal, it's not so much on the player. Tennessee is turning into a perfect example of environment matters for quarterbacks, Neal, because Levis and Malik had traits and talent for the world, but they needed to be refined. Both guys needed to sit. We all knew that. And what happened? One guy has gone to other pastures and turned into this, and it looks like Levis is going to get that chance. And let a guy like Kevin O'Connell get his hands on Will Levis, Neal. So my whole point with Taylen Green is I would take Taylen Green over Colin Kaepernick. He's a little bit more accurate. He did it at a much higher level in the SEC, and he's the alien athlete. So I look at him as the better prospect. Where you land, Neal?
Yeah, like when you're desperate for a franchise quarterback, a lot of people go to you're either the savior or you're not, right? Mm-hmm. And there's very few quarterback prospects that come out that are the savior. And we're so desperate to elevate quarterback prospects that guys like Fernando Mendoza turn out being number 1 overall picks. And I don't not like Fernando Mendoza. I think, for a quarterback needy team, it makes a lot of sense. In next year's draft, he'd be my quarterback 7, probably, if I'm being honest. Like, he had a great run at the end of the season. He's savvy, he's smart, but we're in this year-to-year cycle where we just elevate people, and they have to be either the savior or they're a failure. Whatever happened to the old good term of developing? And a guy like Taylen Green, what you do year 1 is that you keep him far away from the entire playbook, and you cut out components of that playbook that allow him to utilize those strengths. Like, he's an alien, one of the top athletic profile quarterback combine performances we've ever seen. Like, he offers a lot. How you manage it. If your expectation is that Taylen Green, just because he ran a fast 40, can come in and be a starting quarterback early and he's going to get you the promised land, that's just a bad expectation of a player. Mm-hmm. So, like, for me, I like Taylen Green because I just think he oozes elite things that you can't teach. Mm-hmm. And it's the things that you can teach that good coaching brings out. We just went through the quarterback that had the exact opposite, right? He had all the skills that you could teach. His accuracy, his places, his foot awareness, all that stuff. But where Tua fell short is that he didn't have the God-given traits to get him out of plays when it broke down. And when you find guys that are aliens, there's not many of them. And like I posted the other day, give me Drew Allar or Taylen Green in the 3rd round, and I got no, horrible. Like, you got to have some kind of vision for this.
But they're acting like it's a 1st-round pick, Neal. Like, these people have no patience, dude.
Right, and then you want to boost the 49ers for Brock Purdy. You can't do that unless you take the damn swing. So, like, for me, there's traits with those type of quarterbacks that if you're looking at you have 3 3rd-round picks. You have 3rd-round picks because you made trades and you acquired those picks, and hell, they might even get more. Who knows how they move the draft board. Like, I could see them acquiring more picks late day 2. Early day. So when they think about how they're going to operate, and I'm actually – maybe you stay at 11 to make that pick, but that pick 43, you move back late in the 2nd round and pick up another 3rd. Like, that would be a very savvy trade and show good awareness of where you are. I mean, here's what we're talking about. We have Quinn Ewers as our quarterback and then nothing else on that roster unless you're a big Cam Miller fan.
Miller. Yeah.
And I'm not, right?
And Cole Payton's much more intriguing than Cam Miller's ever going to be.
But Quinn Ewers, we all like, and I like Quinn Ewers as a 7th-round pick, but like, let's not get it twisted. Like, Taylen Green and Drew Allar can both early be better players.
You know what's crazy?
Ewers.
Where does Quinn Ewers go in this draft?
He's probably around 5 guy. Like, I really think. Yeah. Like, I think he fell for injuries and stuff like that. But
listen, everyone knows. You of all people know. Am I a Drew Allar fan? No. Have I ever denied his traits? No. But I'm not a fan of Drew Allar for the intangibles. It's okay. Yeah, he needs to become a better processor, needs to read defenses better. But you know how I feel. In big moments, he's just crumbled, right? And we just went through that with Tua. And that's another reason why I'm not a huge Beck fan, because I think Beck crumbles in big moments a little bit too. But anyways, I digress. But I've said, if they turn around and say, hey, we're taking Drew Allar in the 3rd or 4th because this kid oozes traits, which if you watch the throwing session, you saw them on display. This kid oozes traits, and we believe we can fix between the ears, and we can get him where we need to be by sitting him for 2 years and trotting him out there for in year 3. And even if we do that, it won't stop us from taking someone in 2027 if things don't go well this year. Do you think I would sit up here and cry? But these people would, Neal, because they expect, oh, you're spending a third-round pick. This quarterback needs to be this. You got people out here literally treating a third, fourth-round pick quarterback as you got to be ready to start like a day one pick. I know you saw this during the combine, specifically with guys like Aller and Taylen Green, who we've all are enamored with the traits, but we all know they are projects. And this is what I've been trying to tell people. You know what my motto for this draft is, Neal, for taking a quarterback? Mendoza's a project. Everyone you draft is a project, but Mendoza's the smallest project. We can all
100%.
agree he's the most pro-ready.
He's the best quarterback in this class. Yes.
Yeah, he's most pro-ready, and then there's a big gap and it falls off. We can all agree with that, okay? The issue now is, after that gap, all these guys are big projects. Ty Simpson has only started 15 games. You want the list of guys who have been drafted in the first round over the last 10 years who have started 3 games? I'll give it to you. It's only 3 people. Dwayne Haskins, Mitch Trubisky, Anthony Richardson. How'd that work out for them? So he's a big project. Taylen Green's a big project. Drew Aller's a big project. Cole Payton's a big project. Sawyer Robinson's a big project. Whoever you want to name in this draft, not named Fernando Mendoza, is a big project. They're just big projects in their own way, and they all have different things they really need to work on, and they need a good coaching staff to elevate in their game. That's what people need to realize. So my motto for this draft is, listen, if you're going to have to teach one of these guys a lot of things, you might as well draft one of the guys with the most traits you can't teach.
Right. Well, look, you know, when I used to interview like sales prospects, I always big dumb questions like, what are your 3 wishes? And you know, everyone's always like, I want to win the lottery. I want to win the lottery. And I'd ask them, well, do you even buy lottery tickets? You know, and most of them are like, nah, I don't have a chance of winning. And it's like, it's how I feel like Dolphin fans are with the quarterback position. You want to win the lottery, but you don't want to buy the tickets, right? You got to invest in prospects that have tools, and you know, hopefully you can't punish your current coaching staff that hasn't even coached a play and tell them, well, we can't do that because this old regime failed. You got to like wash the slate clean once in a while and not let yesterday's problems ruin.
No, you know what my favorite thing is, Neal? Well, why spend, okay, let's say it's 90, right? Let's say it's 90, right? One of our third round picks. Why spend 90 on Drew Aller or Taylen Green, Neal, when you can go draft a sure bet starter? I know you've seen that and heard that. And I'm sitting here and saying, so you're telling me the number 90th overall pick, no matter where we pick, as long as it's not Taylen Green or Drew Aller, it's a surefire 110% bet starter? You want to make that? You want to make that, Gale? Are you serious right now?
When you were just talking about Malik Willis, and I like Malik Willis as a free agent. I appreciate his upside, but I think he's more of a gamble. I think he's more of a gamble than these young prospects, because these prospects come with a $900,000 a year tag.
Yeah.
And Malik Willis is going to come with a $25 million plus tag. So when you talk about gambling, a third round pick that's $900,000 in the grand scheme of things, it's all about ROI, risk reward. Like a guy like Taylen Green's not going to be there in round 7. Those traits, somebody's going to take them and try to develop.
I don't think Drew Aller, Taylen Green, or Cole Payton get to the 5th.
Yeah.
I just don't. I'm sorry, dude. Dude, did you not hear the report after the throwing session? But Rap Sheet, he said that Drew Aller and Garrett Nussmeier, who I told you I thought were the best throwers of the he said they're going to go much. He didn't say specifically, but he said they're going to go sooner than many expect. And I think what you just said is right. Round 2.
Right. Like, I think 2 going round 1. I think Ty Simpson's going to find a way in round 1 with teams like the Jets. I think the Browns on their second first-round pick could be an option. I think the Rams with 2
Everyone's going to be afraid of the Rams, and that's where we come into play. I'm telling you right now, bro.
100%. And look, as long as it's not us, I'm happy with that. In round 2, like, you're still going to have quarterback-needy teams. Arizona, right, who's probably not going to go quarterback at 3.
Look at how high Shuck went with the age and the injury issues.
And look, if someone signs Kyler Murray or if signs Malik Willis, that's not going to be enough for them to stop and not draft a quarterback on day 2 of the NFL draft. You need to protect and hedge your bets here. And like Cole Payton's the other name that I think like these guys are going to quarterbacks are going to get drafted in that third round, in the late second, early third round, all the way through round 3 through the beginning of round 4. I think Cole Payton, Taylen Green, Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier are all going to find a way off the board. And man, here's the thing: drafting one of these guys in round 3 does nothing to prevent you from taking Archman at number 1 next year if that's your pick, or taking a Julian Sand or any of the other quarterbacks that we'll talk about.
Think about this. Think about this. Let's say you draft Taylen Green or Drew Aller in the 3rd round, right? Let's just stick to these guys, right? Let's say you draft one of these guys who oozes traits, or let's throw Cole Payton in there. Let's just throw him in there. Guys who ooze traits, right? Because I think Jalen Daniels will be like a late day 3, so we won't throw him in there. You draft one of these guys. Let's say you draft them, okay, in the 3rd, 4th round, all right?
Right.
And then you suck in 2026. You only win 3 games. You end up with the 1st overall pick. You draft Arch, Dante Moore, CJ Carr, whichever one ends up as the 1st overall pick, you draft them.
Right.
You continue to invest in the Aller, the Taylen Green, or the Payton, brother. Especially with Payton and Taylen Green, because of the athleticism, you find a way to get them into sub packages and showcase them a little bit, right?
Right.
You can create trade value, dog. Like now you can turn around and especially if they perform in those gadgeted, gimmicky plays. You remember the trade value for Taysom Hill? Didn't he end up getting paid off of it a couple years ago? He got paid like over $15 million because everyone was like enamored with him for a couple years. I mean, you could create a market. Look at the Patriots, Brissett, Garoppolo. Look at what the markets they were able to create for the backup guys they invested in properly and showcased a little bit through opportunities that arose, which may arise with us. And then now you could create some more capital. Imagine if you spend a 4th round pick on one of those guys, you showcase them, and you end up getting a 4th round pick back, or God help us, a 3rd round pick in a couple years.
Right. Like, what did John Eric Sullivan say at his first presser? We're going to take a quarterback in every year's draft. What does that tell you? He knows the value of that position in this league, and he's going to keep turning over every stone.
Look how many openings. You said. Look how many openings there are right now.
And if you're content at the quarterback position, you have Joe Montana, you don't get Steve Young. If you're content at the quarterback position,
you pick for Tyson Bagent.
Right. If you're content and you have Drew Bledsoe, you don't get Tom Brady. Right? Like you can never be content.
That's true.
At the quarterback
That's a great
position.
point.
You got if this league, these guys.
Say that one more time for the people in the back. That's a great point. Say that one more time.
You can never be content at the quarterback position. That's how Steve Young became the replacement for Joe Montana. That's how Tom Brady became the replacement for Drew Bledsoe. 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks were replaced. And that reason why is the people that were behind them at that time were better players than them. And then Drew Bledsoe just joked that Tom Brady's the worst backup ever because you're supposed to give the job back, right? Like that was his joke. But the funny thing about it is, man, like we are a team. We are the poster children for having, in my opinion, a top 5 quarterback, and then not even sniffing anyone even remotely close again. Like, we should be the franchise more willing to take a risk on the quarterback position than any and all of sports. We should go out there and draft a Drew Aller or Taylen Green in round 3, draft Arch Manning, and then the year after that, go if Arch Manning is one, go get Malik Washington. Keep going until you get a great one. Like, if we haven't learned anything in this era of football since like the 2000 Ravens, all the Super Bowls are Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, they're like 85% of what we see in Super Bowl wins with the same quarterbacks. When you have great quarterbacks, you are a contender, and that's what the Dolphins are as far away as ever at that position right now.
Yeah. In the 1 year in the last 5 years, we thought we were a contender. What happened? Our quarterback led the league in passing.
Was an MVP candidate for 1 year. And like if that doesn't get you excited about what you should do at the position, and dude, I do. Like I get what you're saying on Drew Aller and the big moments. And I think we need to see better. But as a man married to a Penn State alumnus, James Franklin is one of the biggest frauds in all of his talent, except Saquon Barkley, underachieves and then becomes I think Danny Dennis Sutton, Nick Singleton. I think they're going to have so many good pros out of this class, and none of them are going to go in the first 2 rounds. They're all going to fall because that team, after they lost that game to Oregon, were done. They were done. They came in like with the hype. But like, if we're really worried about losing a third-round pick, I can't. You can't come talk at the other side of your mouth and be like, God, this front office sucks. They don't know how to find a quarterback. You don't
Especially when you got
find a
three of them.
quarterback. Right. You don't find a quarterback if you don't take chances. You can't win the lottery by buying one ticket. You got to buy like, you know what I mean? It's just, it's tiresome to hear. And then like, I've seen like well-respected, I'm not going to name names, Dolphins content creators like saying like, great, Taylen Green had an awesome 40 time, but like, don't get it twisted. He pretty much sucks at quarterback. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, I remember a time when Bill Polian, who's one of the most respected quarterback gurus that ever walked this planet, said that he would move Lamar Jackson to wide receiver, right? So if you believe in your coaching staff and you see traits and you want to get, you know, that rock and turn it into water, right? Like you have to take the chances.
Do you think it's a coincidence who they hired as a quarterback coach?
No, I think they're well prepared, and I think that like what they're doing is they have a lot of familiarity, and I think they're going to make their pick in round one. I think they're going to be interested in round two, depending on what that board looks like, on moving back and getting more draft capital. And I think in round three, they're going to strike with a quarterback. You said this a couple weeks ago on the show, and I totally agree with you. Like, if you are sitting there hoping that Taylen Green's going to fall to round four, it's not going to happen. Like, that combine just sealed that. Like, the thing about him is he can throw the damn football. He's going to be as athletically gifted as any quarterback in this league. You play him slow. You teach him between the ears. You help him understand how to go through progressions and stuff. And he might fail on his face, but if he figures that stuff out, you're cooking with grease. Yeah, and that's where. So I would say this. I would say with that second, third round pick that the Dolphins have, I think he's seriously.
That's when it starts coming into play. Right. So, like, what was that? What's the second pick? Is that like 78 or something?
Yeah, it's the
third one's 90,
Eagles.
Right?
Yeah, it's the Eagles and Texans. And look, again, like, who knows what? Because that pick 43, who's there? Like, who's there? When I've done mock drafts myself, I'll be honest.
I love Chris Johnson being there in Reeds, but I don't think Chris Johnson's there anymore.
Yeah, I don't after that.
Yeah, so you're talking about 80. So we have 75, 87, and 90. So 87 and 87 would be our second, third.
Right, but if you don't love the board at 43 and you move back down to like pick 60 to get another third rounder, like I'm
hoping one of those edges there, dog. Like I'm hoping Zion or Malachi are there.
Yeah, and look, I think Malachi will be there, and I like Malachi for sure. I like, there's a lot of wood to chop between now and the draft. Today, the franchise tag was due at 4:00. Now we're going to get ready for legal tampering, and then we're going to get for free agency. But the one thing that's cool about the Dolphins is I don't think free agency is going to impact our draft plans much. Like, I think it's cornerback, Mauigoa.
Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this, all right? So I want two things I want to discuss here regarding the draft. Number one, is Caleb Downs about to fall to the Miami Dolphins at number 11? We know they're probably trading Minka. Me and you both want Minka to stay, Neal, but we both know how this is about to end.
Yep,
right?
Yep.
Minka's probably on his way out.
I think he's gone.
Yeah, he's on his way out. And with us, now Caleb Downs, there was a report yesterday that came out from Corey Kinnan that said that whispers around the NFL Combine were that he had a meniscus tear, and Caleb Downs had a meniscus tear, and he had degenerative knee issues. I checked in with my sources that were at the Combine, and I posted a Patreon update today and a channel member update for YouTube channel members. So if you're a channel member or you are a Patreon, go over there after the show and go check out the latest. I had a whole bunch of Combine notes from Ruben Bain to Caleb Downs to Jermod McCoy to what I was hearing about the Miami Dolphins. I had a whole lot in there. Go check it out. But one of the things I was told was to disregard that report. And I dropped that episode around 9:30, 10 a.m. this morning. And then in the afternoon, Pat McAfee said that he talked to a few people and they were told that there was nothing to that report. So once again, I beat the mainstream media to the punch. But I was told, listen, I was having a conversation with someone when this news was coming out that was at the Combine. And I asked him straight up, Neal, I said, listen, do Ruben Bain? No, I said, listen. First of all, Ruben Bain, guys, he ain't falling to us. Get that out. It ain't happening. But I asked, does Sonny Styles? Let me rephrase that. I asked, do Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles have a chance of falling to the Dolphins at 11? And I was told only the former does. I was told Sonny Styles is not getting out of the top 5, and I was told, and this is someone who knew the injury rumor that was out there. And one of the people that told me, hey, don't believe that. They said Caleb Downs has a chance of falling to us. So what do you do if Caleb Downs falls to us, but a guy like Francis Mauigoa falls to us as well?
Oh, that is tough, right? That's very tough. I would say this.
One's a premium position, one's not.
Yep. And I would say for the Dolphins in that scenario, surprisingly, because I have Downs as my number 1 overall player in the draft, I've done and seen the team go the route of ignoring the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
So for this regime, I would take Francis Mauigoa.
Mm-hmm.
As much as that would be hard.
I agree.
Because like, I'll be honest, like my mock that I'm going to do after the free agency, it's going to be a lot different than any I've done. Like, I think Mendoza's a lock at 1. I would take David Bailey. I think the Jets are going to take Arvell Reese. And I don't like that, honestly. I think Arvell Reese is closer to Jalen Walker than he is Micah Parsons. And he didn't get a sack in his last 6 collegiate games. And I've heard his defenders say, hey, they played him more on the weak side and they didn't really deploy him in a pass rush setting. Well, if that's the case, the Ohio State coaches decided to go with Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry over him in pass rush situations. So that doesn't make me feel really good about taking him. So I actually think he goes number 2, Arvell Reese. And this is where I think it gets ugly here. I think Bailey's going to go to Arizona right after that. I think Jeremiah Love's going forward to the Titans, dude. I believe it. And I think it's good to get that young player with Cam Ward, take some of the pressure off of him. I think at 5, Sonny Styles goes. I've been saying that for weeks. Harbaugh's going to want him. He's perfect for what they did. He murdered the He's going to be in the Scouting Combine Hall of Fame.
Watch out for the well, I'm telling you, watch the Titans and the Jets. Watch there's multiple teams in that top 5 who I'm told are very, very intrigued by Sonny Styles.
Well, at number 6, like the Browns are definitely going to go offensive line to me. And I'm going to say this is going to sound crazy, but you said this earlier. I think they're going to go Monroe Freeling over Mauigoa. And the reason I think that is left tackle. And I think they need that big time. And that's the position they're going to need. So at 7, you got the Commanders. I think Carnell Tate's going to be there. I've seen a lot of smoke there. I think they want to get another premier weapon to go with.
I think that's where Bain goes.
See, I don't. I think 8. I think 8's where Bain's going to go. I think they're going to say, hey, he's a guy that we had high on our board. He falls in our lap. Who's at 9? Chiefs?
The Saints? So I think the Saints are a sleeper for a receiver because of Olave's injury history. They were shopping him last year. They traded Rashid Shaheed.
They are. They are at 9. Now that Jeremiah Love's going earlier, I'm going to throw a hot take out there. Trent McDuffie is a guy that I think could be moved. I've heard that there's a lot of synergy between him and the Rams in a second-round pick type of capacity. I think Mansour Delane is going to be the pick at 9 for the Chiefs as a plug-and-play, and they also have their other corner, Jalen Watson's an unrestricted free agent. I think the Bengals are going to go Caleb Downs. I really do. So, we just walked ourselves through Francis Mauigoa, Jermad McCoy, both players being there at 12. And then
Vega Ione, who DiMatteo says, am I crazy? I'd want Ione. No, because I think Ione has the ceiling of being the best offensive lineman in this draft, so that's not a crazy take.
Yeah, no, I'd be like,
I wouldn't even say with the need we have a tight end. I wouldn't even call you crazy if you said I want the freak Kenyon Sadiq there. I wouldn't even call you an idiot. I wouldn't even push back on you there. I think Vega Ione and Sadiq, I would try and get a trade back, but yeah, I wouldn't call.
Well, and if your doctors did their due diligence and they give this guy a clean bill of health, I wouldn't hate Jordan Tyson. I wouldn't hate Jordan or Jamad.
I've heard, he's so
Tyson, I think.
A source told me Tyson got a clean bill of health, 110%. But that same source told me they would take Kenyon Sadiq over Tyson because of the injury history and the future.
Well, and look, tight ends. I mean, there's some guys that are decent picks in the middle round, but Sadiq's the only round 1 guy, and Eli Stowers to me might be the only round 2 guy. I do like Justin Jolly as my number 2 tight end, but I know the NFL doesn't like him as much as I do. I'm projecting a lot.
I heard the NFL's higher on Max Clare than a lot of us are.
Oh, I think so too. And I think he was a better player at Purdue. I think he just got lost in the shuffle. I mean, Jeremiah Smith, Cornell Tate, a lot of mouths to feed there, dude. So, like, he's a guy that probably could be like a Freiermuth where his college production wasn't great. But, like, the scouts see the upside, But, like, yeah, we just walked ourselves into Francis Mauigoa, which, I wasn't trying to do that because, like, I mean, dude, it's a good draft. And we did all that without Ty Simpson elevated.
One of the things I've heard coming out of the combine is that edge is actually their top priority. But from what I understand, they are pretty much at terms with the fact that Bailey and Bain won't be on the board. But I have heard.
Oh, dude, if Bain's there, he's going to
be like Falk. I've heard they like Falk.
Yeah, I know. We texted about that. That scares the shit out of me. Looks like Tarzan, plays like you know what.
Yeah.
I will say this: in a world that Ruben Bain did fall, I do believe, especially with Jason Taylor's connection to the Dolphins, him coaching them. I think
you take that.
I 100%. And here's what the thing is: I don't give a shit about his arm length in Hafley's defense. I don't, because I think they've drafted guys that have those shorter arms and play on the outside.
I'm worried about him.
Here's where I get a little nervous though, is if they don't get edge in the first couple rounds.
Yeah, then
they get that post-June money. I think they're going to be a team looking to trade for Rashawn Gary. And I don't hate that.
As long as they don't trade the farm for Max Crosby, bro, I'm good.
Oh yeah, and I don't want that. That's where I've seen people posting let's go get Trey Hendrickson, let's get Max Crosby. Guys, we're not there. That Bradley Chubb, that was our swing. We are back at go. We got to roll the dice and just get a 3. We can't get the boardwalk overnight. We got to take our time and do this right. I'm telling you, it's going to be a painful year if you care about wins and losses. But if you look at the big picture, you want to see the forest through the trees. The uglier this season is, the better work this front office did. And that's why I said they did a great job of clearing out the big contracts, right? Mm-hmm. Now I want them to stay away from Malik Willis. Where I've seen stay away. Don't get a big quarterback contract on the books when you have no cap space.
Agreed. Like, what are we doing?
Stay away. Figure out a good home for a situation like Minkah. Get yourself another 4th-round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Don't be cute. You get $6 million in savings. Get a 4th-round pick. That could be your tight end, right? Then I want them to be smart. Draft well, develop. But I like what I've seen so far. They go get those extensions done with Brewer, Brooks, Achane. Go get 3 of your 5 nucleus-type players done, and then you're headed into the season with a lot of momentum, and it might not translate on the scoreboard this year, but then once you get a real quarterback and then you start supplementing and stacking good drafts, the Dolphins are going to be a way better team than they were.
We'll finally have the depth we need.
Right. It's going to take 2-3 years, but in 2028, this Dolphins team is going to be a lot better if they do everything right now.
Do y'all expect PHINS to be defensive heavy in the draft? A lot of holes. Yeah, I think the preference would be, I think they're preferring to go defense in the first round, but the guy we're discussing, Francis Mauigoa, is the one wrench that could pivot them from being defensive centric. Because I even posted in that Patreon update kind of actually what Neal said. I said in my Patreon update, if Caleb Downs is on the board, I'm 99.9% sure they're making that pick. The only thing that could throw the wrench in that, in my opinion, is Francis Mauigoa. I had that in my combine update today. So I agree with what Neal said, but I expect it to be defensive heavy for sure.
100%. 100%. It's going to be
South Florida Don says, hold on 1 second. You can go off in 1 sec. South Florida Don says you guys have the best draft coverage hands down. Go ahead, Neal.
No, I was just going to say it's going to be cornerback or edge unless Mauigoa is there, or Downs. It's going to be a player like Downs or Mauigoa, or it's going to be one of the cornerbacks, or if Bain falls an edge. They're going to play the hand that's dealt to them, and whoever the best player is at cornerback, edge, unless there's a Downs or Mauigoa, they're going to go with. I've seen, most mocks, I averaged them out. I mean, the leading candidate right now is Mansour Delane, who's my number 4 overall player. So I obviously would be very, very happy if that happened. But I also think that could be like, in terms of like overall Dolphins fandom, I think that's like the worst case scenario. I actually think one of the guys you named, I'll say this, bold. Between Bain, Mauigoa, and Downs, one of those three are going to be on the clock when the Dolphins pick.
Yeah.
I just don't know who.
Colin says, I bet a paycheck to pick is Ty Simpson reason. I'm going to tell you this right now. With the class, well, I don't think, I'll tell you why it's not going to happen. I mean, I would actually be willing to take that bet because they're not going to tie themselves to the type of quarterback Simpson is at 11. Look at what they've drafted when they've spent first round picks, the regime they come from. Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love ooze traits. They just needed to mechanically be rebuilt a little bit and they needed to be developed, but they ooze traits. Ty Simpson doesn't ooze those traits. And I don't think they are, I don't want to say dumb enough, but I don't think they are unintelligent enough that they're going to tie themselves to an 11th overall pick to a guy that doesn't ooze those traits. Because in year one, if you make that pick, here's the problem now. You run the risk of no longer is 2026 a mulligan because you've now drafted basically a top 10 quarterback. It just would make no sense. You know, it seems like they're going to look at 2027. They're going to look at Arch. They're going to look at, you know, guys.
All the guys we've named over for weeks,
you know, a lot more traits in the next class. Even Dante Moore has more traits. You know, they're going to look at all of these guys, CJ Carr, Lenore Sellis, and they're going to say, why? Yeah, Sorsby, why are we going to bet on this guy at 11 when we can just sit around and there's going to be a guy with better traits in round 2 to bet on? Because I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of guys that I respect in the scouting community. There's a lot of people that I respect in the scouting community that have like second round grades on Ty Simpson. And there's even some people I respect that they look at him as like a third, like a fringe third round guy right now. Again, I go back to this, and this is another reason. Remember, Sullivan comes from a really analytical place, right? Like they are big on analytics over there, right? Do you know the shiver that runs down their spine when they look at how many games Ty Simpson started, 15 in college, and then they look at, okay, in the last 10 years, who's been drafted with 15 starts or less in the first round? Oh, Dwayne Haskins, Anthony Richardson, and Mitchell Trubisky. And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Dwayne Haskins throw like 40-plus touchdowns in his last year at Ohio State?
Yeah, yes, he did.
So they're going to look at this, and they're going to go, are you crazy right now? So yeah, I don't see them tying themselves. Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I honestly don't think – I think they have enough forward thinking to know they're not a quarterback ready. I don't even think they would be in Mendoza if they would take Mendoza if he was there.
I would take Ty Simpson at 43. Sure, why not?
Yeah,
I ain't taking him at no 11 though. Are you crazy?
Yeah, and I think you're thinking about him being the second round. That's exactly where I would have him as a second round type of prospect.
And Neal, why are we talking about the Rams? Because the Rams are going to sit him behind Stafford. There's going to be no pressure. They'll take him at 13. They'll sit him and stash him behind Stafford for a year, and then he will go. Whereas Miami, he's going to be competing with Quinn Ewers. He's going to be, Stephen Ross, and we know how these guys already infringe. They're going to say this guy's got to start.
Yeah, it's not happening. I'd be very shocked if Tyson.
Yeah, they're not going to pack themselves in that corner, Neal. It's not going to
happen. If they're interested, they might do that to get teams enticed to trade
smoke.
Up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that will come out before the draft, and I think that's all designed at getting teams to get in front of the Rams at 13.
Yeah, I agree. And Neal, let me ask you this: Who has more traits? Do you think, Ewers or Simpson?
Man,
Ewers is a little more is a little bit more traitsy. What Simpson has over Ewers though is he's the son of a coach.
Yeah, I say this about Ty Simpson. I was not high on Bo Nix, and I still don't think he's as good as people think he is. But I was wrong. I think he's better than I thought. I think Ty Simpson has the ability to be this year's Bo Nix. I'm just saying this. Like, that's not what I really want as my franchise. And all the kudos to Bo Nix to taking Denver and making them a winner, getting in the playoffs. I think Bo Nix has been a godsend for the Denver franchise. With that said, I just want a little bit more to the position. I want better than Bo Nix. I want better than Ty Simpson. I want the way this roster is shaped. Like, go get me the Archman in next year. Don't get me.
Yeah.
If this is a beauty prize, I don't want second place. I want the most beautiful. I want the gold star.
Yeah.
I want Arch Manning, man. I want that. If you're going to put me through a
Simpson feels like you're settling. Simpson feels like you're settling when 2027 feels like you have the chance to chase the belle of the ball.
I mean, he's probably not even in my top 10 quarterbacks next year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you already said what you said about Mendoza, and you got Mendoza ranked higher than Simpson. So there's not much more to say. So,
right,
ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Appreciate each and every one of you coming through for this episode. And we will catch each and every one of you on the next one. Until then, fins up all day, every day. Have a fantastic rest of the day, everyone.